What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is your review for Real Housewives of Potomac, season 4, episode 16. So we are almost at the end of the season, you guys, and we are episode 2 of our trip to the Caymans, and we pick up pretty much where we left off, where Ashley and Katie are sort of having this showdown, and Karen is really not feeling how Ashley is coming at Miss Katie. She, when she said to Katie, "You're not strong enough to be with this group," and Katie's response was, "You're right." I mean, Karen was like, "Oh no, she's not. You're strong enough to handle everything that you need to handle." And we found out that Katie is really dealing with some things in her personal life. Everybody sort of retires and goes back to their own place, their own room, and they realize that everybody's having their own personal conversation. And Ashley is sort of feeling bad now. She's sort of reflecting on kind of how hard she came at Katie, and she's sort of feeling bad about it. And the next morning, we see her talking to her mom, and her mom is telling her, "Look, yeah, you might need to show a little more compassion to Katie. Maybe she needs a friend right now." Um, you know, um, they talk a little bit about Karen's event that she's having for Ladam. And of course, Giselle being Giselle got a question. Well, is it a roller event? I mean, what is the event? I mean, what is really going on? She got to be extra about it. But at the end of the day, I'm sure that's going to probably be the finale, is Karen's little event. We're going to see how that whole thing goes down, I'm sure. The ladies are going off on a um, excursion. They're going to see the stingrays. They're going to a little beach club. So we'll get to that in a moment. Poor Monique. Well, I ain't gonna say poor Monique. Monique was getting ready to have her baby, so she was still in Potomac, and they didn't really show her a whole lot. They saw her go up. We saw a scene where her and Chris went out to dinner. Now, I mainly brought that up is because I've been at that restaurant. That's where we took my daddy to dinner for his birthday. The food is really good. But they have a conversation, and basically the highlight of that conversation was Chris was like, "Yeah, I guess I'm okay with not having any more kids because, one, we don't have much of a sex life, and I ain't trying to, if I gotta have sex or have another baby, it's gonna be have sex." And two, he did say that he saw how this pregnancy was really sort of wearing on Monique, on her body more so than the other pregnancies. I'm feeling like, as we get older, things hit us differently, and I'm feeling like this pregnancy is probably hitting Monique a little different. But that was pretty much that with Monique and Chris. Then we have the ladies on the boat, and Giselle threw some little shade at Karen. Said, "Girl, I see that wig is staying on," and Karen hit her with the yes, yes it is. And that wig was flowing in the wind, honey. So whatever glue or stylist that Karen used for this trip, baby, keep them, unless it's the same stylist that set you up on that New Orleans trip with that braided wig. If it's that person, they just canceled themselves out. All they did was buy themselves a free third chance. Because anyway, Katie is not feeling well. Katie is not feeling well at all. She ends up not participating in the Stingray excursion, and she stays on the boat. And at a certain point, Ashley is feeling so bad. Ashley, she's feeling all bad about it. So she goes onto the boat to talk to Katie, and she does apologize. And she said, "Katie, I really apologize you know, um, for what I was saying. It came off a little harsh. I was a little sensitive. I realized I can be compassionate, but, I really thought we were building a friendship, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah." Katie was like, "Okay. All right. Thank you. Well, okay. Thank you." I mean, Katie ain't give her nothing. Katie wasn't like, "Thank you so much. Well, let's have a hug it out." She was like, "All right, good. I'm going to go ahead and finish laying down because I don't feel good." Now, I really don't know how much of Katie not feeling good on this trip was about Katie not feeling well physically or mentally, or a combination of the two. Um, Later on in the episode, Katie goes to them and says that she doesn't think she's going to go to dinner because she's just not feeling it. And one of my biggest pet peeves as a woman is the minute a woman says she's not feeling good, the first thing somebody says is, "Are you pregnant?" All roads don't lead to a baby. Now, in Katie's case, she is having sex and she's not using any type of birth control, so she could be pregnant. But it just irritates me that that's the first thing out of people's mouth. But anyway, that's my own personal pet peeve. After the Stingray expedition, they end up going to lunch, and Katie does join them for lunch. And they're having a nice time. They're enjoying themselves, and that damn messy ass Giselle. I promise you, she cut a deal with producers over at the end of last season. She cut a deal with producers, and the producer said, "Look, we know you don't have a storyline, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna let you stay on the show. But this what you just gotta carry the bone. Every scene, when you feel like it's starting to get a little boring, boom, you gotta throw something out there. Cause I swear that is all she does. Neither here nor there. She throws out there. It's really nice to see Candice and Ashley. You guys getting along. It's really nice to see that. Next thing you know, Candice and Ashley get to arguing again. Candice says, well, I'm willing to apologize for blah, 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 but I think you should apologize to me for blah, blah, blah. Candice, you can't tell nobody to apologize to you. All you can do is, because again, if your apology is sincere about what you did, you throw your apology out there, and if and when that person feels like they owe you an apology, then they'll throw it back at you. They may not ever apologize. But that's not what an apology is. An apology isn't I'm gonna throw it out for you to throw it back. No, Candice, you can't put that on somebody. So then Candice says something about the butter knife. She said, well, Ashley was like, well, was that bad enough for you to threaten me with a butter knife? They get, and again, they go back and forth over that. She was like, well, you were in my house talking shit. I mean, again, you cannot force someone to apologize to you. But that's sort of where that was. I don't think they hit any major results at that point. Then the ladies go water skiing. I mean, was it jet skiing? Jet skiing and water skiing. They were jet skiing. It was fun. It was cool. We see Karen go over to Katie and have a sincere conversation with her and say, look, how you doing? How you feeling? She's like, basically, you're not feeling good today. Was that mental or physical? Like, were you physically not feeling well, or was it because of what's going on? And Katie said, no, I really just wasn't feeling well. And Karen says, look, I just want you to know that I understand you going through a lot. And if you ever need anything, you let me know. Like, really. And she asked if Ashley had apologized. And she said Ashley did apologize to her. But Karen really, I'm telling y'all, Karen was not really feeling that. She was not happy with how Ashley came at Katie at all. So the ladies get back to the hotel and they're going to meet for cocktails and dinner later on that evening. They're going to go back to their rooms and relax. When you out there on them islands, that sun hits you kind of funny. I'm telling you, it's a different kind of sun down there in the Caribbean, y'all. And so, the ladies go back to their room to rest. And that's when we see the conversation with Katie, and they ask Katie if she's pregnant. And Katie's like, yeah, I don't know. But neither here nor there. Katie, yeah, y'all know Katie crazy as hell. But then they bring up, I'm gonna stop saying Katie crazy. Katie ain't crazy. Katie just a free spirit. But then they bring up, Katie says, well, have you talked to Giselle yet about, you being irritated about what she did at the open house? And she said, no, I haven't talked to her about it yet. And of course, Ashley and Katie both said, look, you really need, if it's bothering you, that's your friend, you need to address it. You really need to talk to her about it. And you really probably shouldn't have let it fester as long as you did. But again, and Robin was like, well, yeah, because I just don't want her to do it again to somebody else. And I'm like, no, see, it's cool for Giselle to do it to everybody else, but the minute she does it to you and she playing with your money, now it's potentially an issue. Whatever, Robin. So as they're on their way to dinner, they proceed to have the conversation with Katie. Well, they're talking about Katie because Katie didn't go to dinner. And they're sort of recapping that. And that's when Karen is letting them know that she really wasn't feeling that comment that Ashley made. And Ashley is sort of defending herself and saying, look, I am a little defensive with everything going on with Michael. Maybe I was a little bit more defensive and I came off a little harsher than I should have. She said, but I really felt like me and Katie were building a friendship, and I sort of felt betrayed by her. And Candice was kind of like, huh, oh, really? Because I felt the same way, down in New Orleans. I felt like I was extending myself to Ashley, and she basically told me in New Orleans that, she ain't really see it for us as a friend, in a friendship. So they're having dinner, and Robin decides to address Giselle because Giselle's talking about, well, if you do something to somebody, you do something wrong, you should apologize. So Robin said, well, speaking of, and Ashley, Giselle was like, well, who did something? Who did something to you, Robin? Robin was like, the way you came into the open house. Now, here's what made me mad about Robin. She said, I mean, you could have attacked Monique. I just wish you had done it at a different time. So basically, you really weren't even, you still weren't mad at what she did. You're just mad at her timing of doing it. Okay, all right. And she went on to tell Giselle that, you coming in guns blazing, like you didn't come in, you didn't look at the house first, you didn't get the lay of the land, you didn't speak to anybody, you just came in and went straight for Monique. And Giselle was like, well, I really didn't appreciate what Monique was saying. However, I guess there is a time and a place for everything, and my timing was off, and I do apologize to you for that. Now, what she said in her confessional was, look, if Robin is complaining, then I know I got to get it together because Robin doesn't normally complain. Yeah, because Robin normally lets you do whatever the hell you want to do and make excuses and co-sign that shit. But I guess you really figured you went too far when your flunky felt like when your flunky was telling you went too far. Now all of a sudden you went too far. Now you got apologies for everybody for her. And I was like, see, and just like Robin said, I mean, I just don't want you to do it to somebody else. No, you really still don't care about nobody else. You just don't want her to do it to you again. Because again, it was affecting your money. Because that ain't the first time that Giselle has disrespected you. But whatever. That's y'all relationship. That's y'all friendship. Not my business. So then Giselle decides to use this as an opportunity to ask. Well, they talk about Juan and her getting married again and that they're in a better place and they've been talking about marriage, whatever. I don't care. Then Giselle says, well, Ashley and Candice, would you guys consider spending a little alone time to really try to work on y'all's friendship? So they agreed to go to breakfast the next morning. I was like, whatever. Anyway. So then they bring up Chris's cookbook, and Ashley starts trying to give Candice advice on the business side of things. Because I guess she's thinking about the fiasco that was Oz restaurant and how that affected her marriage. And I guess she was trying to give Candice some sound advice on how to handle the business side of marriage. Karen very nicely in her confessional said, Ashley, you the last person that need to give anybody advice on how to handle their marital affairs, business or otherwise. And shady ass Bravo flashback to her trying to figure out and negotiate her damn prenup, honey. The renegotiation of her prenup. So the ladies have the rest of the evening is wonderful. They are salsa in. They are having a good time. They're getting into the Caribbean music. They get back to the hotel and they go to check on Miss Katie. Miss Katie opens the door. Now, she doesn't let them in the room. She opens the door. They ask her how she's feeling. She said, I'm feeling fine. Now, Katie got on a jacket, a scarf, and some more stuff in the middle of the Caymans. But okay. And, they end up walking off or whatever. The next morning, Katie and Candice, they do their yoga thing. Well, it's really Ashley's yoga thing. Candice could care less about yoga. But they do end up talking. And I think they sort of come to a happy medium. Ashley was like, look, this is how I felt. And with everything going on with Michael and with my marriage and with, I felt attacked and I felt hurt. And, maybe I didn't have my walls down as much as I should have or accept um where you were coming from in the sincere way that you were coming to me. And, for that I apologize. And then Candace says, well, maybe I could be a little extra. They did that whole concession. Okay, we cool. We gonna work on things. Um, and she explained to Ashley why the comment made really upset her in New Orleans. That she said, I felt like I wasted time trying to be your friend, and you weren't open to that from me. And so they had a moment again. I think they talked it out. I think they talked about what probably needed to be talked about. We will see where they are next week because you know how that go, honey. They'll be arguing with each other in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 minutes. Um, and as they're finishing up breakfast, they run into Giselle. And Giselle is like, have you guys talked to Katie? And they're like, nah, we went to check on Katie when we got home last night, but that's about it. And they said, well, what's up? And she said, well, I went to Katie's room and her door was open and all of her stuff is gone. I went to the front desk. She hasn't checked out, but nobody knows where she is. She was like, I really think Katie is gone. Now, I don't know if this is creative editing from the point of view of maybe something was wrong with her room, a pipe burst, or something went down, and they moved her to a different room because she didn't technically check out, or if Katie really left. Now, if Katie, they showed the previews for next week, and they, of course, they strategically, I didn't see Katie. But what's interesting is if Katie did leave, okay, if Katie decided to bail out on the Cayman and roll out, it would make sense that maybe that's why they didn't invite Miss Katie to the reunion, because the Bravo's probably pissed. If you decided to leave in the middle of something like this, y'all know how they are about their little trips and stuff like that, and she just decided to roll out, that would, I could see Bravo saying, all right, then we'll peace. You left in the middle of some filming, peace then. But if there's a legitimate reason and they just doing that creative editing, trying to build up the where's Katie mystery, then, we'll find out next week. Anyway, that's how it went down. Let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments.